When it was initially revealed, Persona 5 Strikers looked like just another spin-off game for a major series done by Omega Force. We've seen them take on Fire Emblem and The Legend of Zelda before, and I expected a similar treatment for Persona 5. However, after clocking in 45 hours into Strikers, I can confidently say not only is this Persona 5 Part 2, but it's more of an action RPG than any other recent Omega Force game. With this being the first Persona 5 project not exclusive to PlayStation, I can understand the excitement for Nintendo Switch and PC users to jump on the Persona 5 story with Persona 5 Strikers. As much as I want to play Persona 5 on Switch, I don't recommend playing Strikers if you haven't already played Persona 5. You see, Persona 5 Strikers story-wise takes place after the events of Persona 5, and makes so many references to its story and characters without much explanation to back it up. Sure, you'll maybe be able to understand who the bad guys and the good guys are in the story, but you won't understand what a persona is, who the Phantom Thieves are, why they're friends, and so on. So if you clicked on this review without playing Persona 5 already, be wary of the spoilers, and I recommend playing that before picking this game up, which spoilers, you should. Persona 5 Strikers takes place the summer after Persona 5 ends. It sees the Phantom Thieves reuniting for their summer break, only for it to get interrupted by something strange happening in the metaverse. It's here where things quickly go amok with someone altering the desires of people in Japan. With the new mystery on their hands, the Phantom Thieves turn their summer vacation road trip across Japan into an investigation into these circulating cases. As a veteran of this series, I felt like Omega Force perfectly captured the feeling of the Persona series here, with memorable characters coming back and feeling like this was simply all part of the plan when writing the original script for Persona 5. Sadly, the one aspect I do miss is the confidence system that's been completely missing in Strikers. While there's plenty of moving conversations to be had here with a lot of familiar faces, you won't be having these one-on-one moments with characters that were so prominent with Persona 5. While the story is still fantastic, the missing social links are felt and arguably might be the reason why Persona 5 Strikers comes in at a little less than half the playtime of the original game. Nevertheless, Persona 5 Strikers delivers on providing a great continuation to the Phantom Thieves story, introducing new character favorites, and re-immersing me into the series. Persona 5 Strikers feels familiar yet new. It's almost like if Omega Force kept all the Tokyo parts of Persona 5, added in the combat of something like Kingdom Hearts, and got rid of the confidence system. Perhaps that's boiling it down a bit too much, but that's the elevator pitch essentially, and it surprisingly works. Just like the base game, wandering around Tokyo and now the rest of Japan focuses on the development of characters through conversations, exploring the world, and so on. It's been the downtime of the series, and the sequel is much more streamlined. Where previous games had a social link system to get to know and date characters on a deeper level, that's sadly been removed here. Instead, characters still have conversations, but usually in a group with the progression of them giving you buffs in battle. While I was saddened by the removal of social links, it also wraps up the pacing of the game. The mainline Persona series always required you to use your time wisely, and Strikers gets rid of that completely. When you're not in the human world, you're in the metaverse, exploring dungeons, fighting hordes of shadows, and seeking out treasures. Like any other Persona game, your characters have their own personas with skills to activate, some weaker and some stronger against specific shadows. Now, despite this now acting more like an action RPG instead of a turn-based one, a lot of those core Persona elements are woven into Strikers. I absolutely love that. There are elements of Dynasty Warriors here too, of course, huge hordes of enemies to fight, and a handful of playable characters you're able to seamlessly switch between in combat. And even all of this has their own touch of Persona to it. Instead of having large open world sandboxes to take on enemies, Strikers feels more like intricate dungeons. Likewise, when switching party members, it's more than just a character preference, it's managing SP and using the right magic skills against the right enemy. You see, despite these characters functioning the same, they still feel different and attack differently based on their skills. So just like a mainline Persona game, you're trying to land effective hits to get one more hit combo or perhaps an all-out attack. Some new elements have been added in too though, like the context-sensitive attacks that use the environment, and showtime attacks that feel like flashier all-out attacks. Ultimately, the mix of Omega Force's action combat and the Persona universe lore and mechanics mixed beautifully like I never expected. Persona 5 Strikers, despite being made by a completely different studio, looks like it came straight from Atlas. The attention to detail here is immaculate. Omega Force truly went above and beyond to capture the little elements that made Persona 5's presentation so profound. The menus here are now rendered with 3D models, still look as stunning as the menus in the base game. The way they transition so flawlessly and smooth between each other, it's marvelous. Likewise, just playing through the game both in the new action moments and the calmer city moments, the world is so fun to explore. I love seeing the new locations throughout Japan, and fighting shadows in live action felt like if the Persona series went the Kingdom Hearts battle system route. Add in all the newly animated cutscenes, and Persona 5 Strikers looks more like another numbered mainline game than it does a spin-off. Now, Persona 5 Strikers is available on PC, PS4, and Nintendo Switch. Depending on the platform you're playing on, your performance will vary. For my review, I played on both a Nintendo Switch and a PS5, though that's the PS4 game running through backwards compatibility. On PS4, there's a toggle for both frame rate and resolution mode. If you're on the base PS4, you can choose which matters to you most, a locked 1080p or a locked 60 frames per second, but in my testing, Strikers is well optimized enough to find a great middle ground for both. On PS4 Pro, you can have that resolution upgraded to 4K, and when playing on the PS5, you can pretty much expect a locked 4K 60. On Nintendo Switch, the experience is portable, but at the cost of performance and even at a lower target rate, the experience is passable. Nintendo Switch in dock mode targets a dynamic resolution, maxing out at 1080p with 30 frames per second, while in handheld mode, that's dropped down to 720p at 30 frames per second, and although the experience isn't locked at 30 FPS, the target performance is far more stable than the recent Omega Force titles on Nintendo Switch. You will see drops in frames, but not on the level of something like the Age of Calamity. Persona 5 and the Persona series in general have always been known for their amazing soundtracks. Persona 5 Strikers not only brings back the collection of extraordinary songs, but it remixes them, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I think I like some of them more than the originals. Last Surprise was great already, but it hits so differently in Strikers that I find myself actively playing it while writing this review. Furthermore, I was happy to see that the English and Japanese voice cast from the first game make a return here with dual audio support. I personally went with the English cast as I found myself more accustomed to them, having recently beaten Persona 5 Royale in English. Nevertheless, both languages sound great here, with everyone bringing their A-game to their performances. In fact, I feel like some of the character lines here come off more expressive than I remember them in Royal, and I really appreciated that. The Phantom Thieves just felt more lively in their conversations here. Persona 5 Strikers shocked me in every way possible. Never did I think an Omega Force style Persona game would captivate me as much as it did, nor would I have guessed it would satisfy my craving for a Persona 5 sequel. Yet, here I am telling you, Persona 5 Strikers is amazing as a sequel both in gameplay, writing, and presentation. Sure, some aspects like the lack of confidants do make this package somewhat lackluster in comparison to the first game. That grievance aside, Persona 5 Strikers was still worth diving into. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, then make sure you hit that like button and maybe subscribe for more videos just like it. If you're a fan of the channel, I recommend checking out the Discord server link in the description. It's a place for me and viewers like yourself just play games and talk about whatever interests us in video games. It's a welcoming and increasingly growing community, and I'd love to see you be a part of it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.